I'm Norman Reamer, the Executive Director of NACDL and the NACDL Foundation for Criminal Justice. We're reaching out to you for your support in a dark and difficult time for our nation. The virus that is sickening and killing so many of us is an equal opportunity virus. It does not discriminate based on religion, race, ethnicity, gender, or age. But like so many of the challenges in our society, its impact is falling disproportionately on minorities, the poor, and the disadvantaged. The same is true of the nation's criminal justice system. We overprosecute, we over-incarcerate, and we over-sentence. And disparate impact permeates the system. For more than 60 years, NACDL has been fighting for a more rational, just, and humane criminal justice system. From Wounded Knee to Guantanamo Bay, NACDL has been there to defend the fundamental constitutional human rights of the accused. Weeks before the nation's leadership recognized the true threat of the coronavirus, NACDL was the first to call for drastic steps to protect the 2.2 million in our prisons who cannot social distance. And thanks to the Foundation for Criminal Justice, NACDL has amassed resources to help defense lawyers all over the nation fight for the release of their clients. And NACDL helped to launch the COVID-19 Compassionate Release Project to seek the immediate release for sick and elderly federal prisoners whose lives are at risk during this pandemic. We could not do that without your support. Here are some voices to explain the human impact that flows from that support.
Good morning. I'm Susan Walsh in New York City from Manhattan, and I've been an NACDL member since 1996. When the national emergency was announced that week in March, I was following colleagues' litigation on ECF and otherwise. They were on trial, while the rest of us were scrambling and packing up to work home remotely and stock up on groceries. My colleagues in New York were trying a case. I followed because I severed out of that case, and I'm the next to try the same case. And as I followed their motion for an adjournment and the government's opposition to it, and their motion for a mistrial and the government's opposition to it, and I watched them electronically file their requests to charge, prep their summations, prepare their cross, under conditions where the rest of us were sheltering in place in Manhattan, I texted my colleagues and said, you need to contact the NACDL strike force. If you're not a member of NACDL, you need to join NACDL and contact the NACDL strike force. And by Saturday night, from that text on Saturday night to Sunday evening, the NACDL strike force filed a motion on behalf of the defense lawyers. And on Monday morning, the case was adjourned. That's NACDL in action under crisis, and that case has been postponed now, like the rest of our lives indefinitely. That's what defense lawyers do for each other when they're following each other and they have each other's backs. Now, I've been a member of NACDL since 1996 when I was a third-year student at George Washington. I was an intern in the Federal Defender's Office in Washington, D.C. And that year, one of my mentors at the time, Barry Boss, who comes from a great tradition of NACDL people, a board member, and Carmen Hernandez, past president of NACDL, worked in the office at the time. A.J. Kramer was the boss then too. Barry Boss turned to me and said, if you're serious about being a criminal defense lawyer, you have to be a member of NACDL. And Barry Boss sponsored me as a third-year law student, and he bought me my first membership. And I've been a member of NACDL ever since. My career took me from just looking at the pages of The Champion and admiring who I thought were my heroes. They were my heroes, but they were also my mentors. And then they became my friends when I joined the Public Defender's Office in Denver, Colorado, with past President Lisa Wayne. And when I came back to New York, and I became a member of a small firm in New York City and was in partnership for more than 10 years with NACDL's current executive director, Norman Reamer. From coast to coast, my community of mentors have gotten smaller and closer. And people that were my mentors and my heroes are now my colleagues and friends. So I was happy when this crisis hit to return the favor of Barry Boss and to sponsor my own student memberships. And I did. And when I sponsored those student memberships that evening, my only regret was that I didn't do it sooner. But as karma will have it in the defense community, that very same evening, which was April 1st, when the 14-day quarantine lockdown happened nationwide in our federal prisons, I got a telephone call from Mississippi. And it was the last of my clemency recipients and his family celebrating from the parking lot in the Bureau of Prisons in Mississippi from Tupelo. He was out. A lifer was granted clemency from Obama, while I was a volunteer for the NACDL Clemency Project. So the good karma of criminal defense lawyers and doing the right thing by each other came through to me that night loud and clear, as I could socially distance in the most extraordinary way and celebrate with that clemency recipient in Mississippi. So in honor of my membership, going on my silver anniversary as a member, and in honor of Barry Boss and the mentors that I've had and friends that I've made over the years, I'm sorry that I'm late to the game, but I'm sponsoring 4. And I'm welcoming the class of 2020, who will clearly have it harder than I did, into the NACDL family. I hope you'll join me.
Hi, this is Missy Owen, and I'm an attorney in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have been a member of NACDL since 1999 when I graduated from law school. I've been a member of the board for the last 2 years, but most recently, NACDL has stepped up in a time that we all are feeling alone and uncertain about what the future brings for us. Perhaps the most alone people that are out there in our lives are our clients, who feel incredibly helpless and have turned to us. When my clients have turned to me about what they can do, what I can do to help put them in a safer place, to bring them home, I've turned to NACDL. Overnight, NACDL created a clearinghouse with the best arguments, the best motions, the best orders from all over the country to give us the tools we need to put our clients in the very best position to be safe right now and to come home. Thank you for your support of NACDL. They couldn't do this work without the foundation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brady Skinner III. I've been a member of NACDL since 2013. I'm here in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge by way of New Orleans. And NACDL is a tremendous organization. I've been a board member since 2019. And we have a lot of resources for the attorneys that join NACDL. I mean, there's NACDL Connect, which is a listserv we post questions on, and you'd be surprised at the number of people from all over the country who will just send you some information, and you can pick up the phone and have a conversation about a case that you're dealing with. And it brings more than it brings a national perspective rather than just a local bar when it comes to conversations like this. With the coronavirus, has been kind of hectic for everybody. And I've actually had a client that contracted the coronavirus when he went to jail and get arrested. So NACDL is really coming together and has over the years helped me in my practice and helped Louisiana. As you heard before, there was Louisiana was one of 2 states that only had 10 of 12 jury verdicts, and it wasn't unanimous. And now we have unanimous jury verdicts. And one of the things that NACDL has done, Norman Reamer, he penned a letter on behalf of NACDL to our legislators to kind of say, hey, we need to get this on the ballot. And when it took the ballot and the people voted, now Louisiana is up to par in the 21st century with every other state. And we have unanimous jury verdicts. And I'd like to think that NACDL had a huge part and helping us get that on the ballot.
Well, these are some of the voices from around the country that illustrate just how much we can do for each other, for our society, to push for, to insist on a rational, humane criminal justice system. And in a time like this, when we all have to come together, it's important to remember that long after this virus has passed, the struggle for justice will go on, and we will prevail with your help and your support. Please lend your hand to us now in this hour of need so that we can do what we can for the lawyers, for the clients, for their families, and for justice. Please go to www.nacdl.org/support. Thank you. Stay safe, stay distance, and be well.